There's a DevOps, there's a security, there's infrastructure, there's development part. So now many people are starting the career in this domain. What are the skills they can focus on? Okay, these are the skills they should learn to start the career in
Yeah.
technology. How to approach this situation where you're migrating from a non technical or non computing field to the technology. When you are hiring, what are the skills that you look for? The technical skill and non technical skills. Hello everyone and welcome to Career Conversation Podcast. I'm your host Dushyant Bhatt. In this podcast, we invite industry experts from various domains to share their learning experience. In today's episode, we have very special guest Aneel Kumar Savalagi, a seasoned technology leader with more than 15 years of experience in technology engineering, infrastructure, platform, and operation leadership. Currently, he serves as a global IT infrastructure, platform engineering, and operation leader at Giant Eagle, where he oversees the critical global technology function, including cloud, DevOps, database, middleware, unified observability, and IT operation. Anil holds bachelor degree in electronics and communication and an MBA in information technology. His career journey includes leadership role at Lovis India, where he serves as a senior engineering manager, and BT as a global network planning and delivery manager, and with the Tata Communication as lead engineer, and he's also worked with Nokia and ITI. Anil's contribution to the technology field has earned him numerous awards, including CIO 100 Game Changers Award and CXO Tech Excellence Award. Thank you, and welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dushyant, for putting me this podcast and inviting me. I really appreciate your effort here, and also definitely happy to spend some time discussing about a lot of the technology trends, and also talking about the career journeys, ups and downs, and also best advices to the audience. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much. So, how was the whole journey starting from ITI to current Giant Eagle in more than 15 years?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a roller coaster ride. When I started my career back in 2006, those days, technology was not shaping, in terms of human lives or, innovation, right? It was not so great in terms of adopting latest technology, especially the trends like AI automation.
Mhm.
I did my graduation in electronics and communication.
Right.
I was very fascinated about communication field, so
Mhm.
that's where I started predominantly looking into some of the organizations, especially in the government and public sector in it, where I can learn the telecommunication and
Mhm.
overall, the electronics piece of knowledge. That's the reason I started my career as a telecom communication engineer.
Mhm.
I think prior to career, I think during my degree also interested only to do the electronics and communication. So I think that's provided a solid foundation, and
Mhm.
also that led me to ITI Limited, one of the public sector unit in Bangalore,
Mhm.
who is basically a predominant support, provider for telecom equipments like switching, routing platforms for major telecom sectors in India, BSNL and the old MTNL, etc. So yeah, I think combination of my education and practical exposure, I think that solidified my commitment to a career in the technology field.
How was the journey from ITI, then the Nokia, and then other companies? Because you are from electronics and communication background, and now coming and managing the whole technology infrastructure.
The initial six to 7 years, I was predominantly only focused on communication technologies, predominantly mobile, GSM, CDMA,
Mhm.
and talking about the IP technologies, IP communication technology, voice over IP, SIP tracking, and all those. So I think I realized I was more focused on only on the telecom side, because
Mhm.
telecommunication is more like a legacy platform. Every government organizations, education institutions were leveraging. So I
Right.
realized that why can't I shift my focus to the latest technologies like cloud, network,
Mhm.
virtualization, and all those. That's where I shifted to the private organization, Tata Communication, from my previous exposure to public sector unit at BSNL or ITI, whatever my clients I handled. So Tata has given me a good, shift in terms of concentrating my, overall technological exposure,
Mhm.
especially in the mobile technologies, and also on the networking and cloud. So later, spending good amount of time into mobile technologies and then switching into cloud was really a game changer for me to get into more expanded roles. Then I started, working with British Telecom. That's again a telecom sector, but I was not predominantly in the telecom field there in BT. As a techno-functional manager, I was responsible for both internal and external clients for BT, British Telecom, predominantly for taking care of the cloud collaboration suite of solutions offered by BT, where I learned a lot about cloud, how we revolutionize the networking technology stack. Gone are the days like traditional routing switching, and on top of that, how we build the software-defined networking, software-defined WAN, and how we build that network function virtualization and all those. So that's where I started, embedding the software engineering mindset on
Right.
top of the legacy traditional communication technological exposure.
Right. And how you see the evolution of technology, because we are generation who's seeing the cloud from day zero, and how this evolution is going ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of evolving technology, right, especially in the field of data, I definitely see with businesses increasingly relying on data driven decision making, there is a high demand for professionals to get skilled in the data analytics and data engineering. And the other area definitely continued to take place in the technology frame is cloud computing. So companies are, most of the companies are, being a cloud native. They try to migrate to the cloud, and entry level roles in the cloud management and the architecture are on the rise, especially for people are trying to work on the companies where digital transformation is creating a lot of exciting opportunities for newcomers in tech. I think other than that, a lot of cybersecurity, with increased digitalization comes the need for the robust security measures. So that also creating a lot of opportunities in the cybersecurity for the newcomers who are eagerly looking for a career where they can protect the systems and data. And most area also is about agile, project management. The organizations are adopting agile methodologies. I
Right.
think overall digital transformation is fostering a dynamic environment where a lot of new professionals or the entry level newcomers can explore the diverse paths and also make significant contributions to the organizations.
Right. So as we discussed, digital transformation is going around, right? And majorly many traditional companies are converting to the digital medium, right? And when we talk about digital transformation, there are multiple jargons are being used, right? So either it can be the agile, it is DevOps, it's cloud computing. So can you help us to simplify what are these terms and what that means?
Yeah. So when you talk about specific items like agile, it's about how we create value by targeting low complexity and high impact. What I mean by that is how we can keep things simpler and how we help the team to collaborate. Then comes data, right? A lot of uh, trends in terms of fascinating data careers, especially data scientists, data engineering, data analytics, right? It's about how do we develop a better platform for create a meaningful insights from the data. So data is everywhere. How we bring the data together, and also the most important aspect is about how we improve the quality of the data, because every organization have data residing across all the part of the ecosystem. But how
Right.
we create the quality on top of the data availability. So a lot of technology trends like bringing in the semantic enterprise data layer, so that integrates all the data sources and help us to generate a lot of good insights out of the data. It's always to understand, not go by the jargons, but also understand what is that value proposition each technology is going to bring in, and what is the impact each technology is going to create.
Some clarity on DevOps also.
Yeah, absolutely. So DevOps is very close to my heart. As you know, we co-paneled in some of the
Right.
forums, talk a lot about DevOps, how the technology is adapting to the emerging DevOps capabilities, especially in the infrastructure area. It's about value proposition for traditional infrastructure development aspect, and also how do we bring in that collaboration between operations teams while encouraging the operations analyst to develop the software engineering mindset. We used to have different hands off between the development community
Mm.
and the people who are more of run and operate,
Right.
right? So there are a lot of delays in terms of getting that integration, the interface built between different communities. So DevOps is in shorter term, if I want to put together, it simplifies the integration between the developer community and the operations community who are running the uh, ecosystem.
So this we talk about the basic thing. Now let's if we go more deeper about understanding how DevOps works at the basic level, and as the complexity increases, how the DevOps or the infrastructure architecture keep on changing.
I think DevOps is ever evolving, especially segregating the security component. How the DevOps is going to, I think the latest trend is about how DevOps is helping us to secure the SDLC lifecycle.
Okay.
We talked about starting from streamlining the code repository till the monitoring piece, right?
Mm,
Which what
mm,
is basically the DevOps pipeline.
mhm.
So this is very traditional way of creating and implementing and delivering the pipeline. But
Right.
how we are going to secure the software development lifecycle
Mhm,
by embedding security aspect, whether it is SAST, DAST, at each level, how do we ensure the push and pull uh, actions are being taken care in terms of uh, creating that integration between quality engineering community who are always there to help us in terms of uh, helping the testing scope to
mhm,
be in place, and also how you mature the pipeline in terms continue to evolve the security aspect. That's where I think DevSecOps. There are a lot of new trends, right? Like DevOps, DevSecOps, IT ops, ML ops, AI ops. I think
mhm,
uh, DevOps definitely going to emerge in terms of not only helping us to deploy faster, value to
mhm.
market, securing the entire pipeline.
And we also, I think, key things discuss about the middleware and observability. So how we
Yeah,
define that, how they are play important role.
absolutely. So let me first talk about the observability. I think uh, while we adopt the DevOps and multi-cloud strategy, most important part when we deploy the cloud platform, especially the multi-cloud platform, the most important task is about administrating the cloud ecosystem.
Right.
There comes how do we administer and also how do we run and operate.
Mhm,
That's where the unified observability plays a major role,
mhm.
because traditional approach is to have the very decentralized monitoring tools.
Right.
While infrastructure being a backbone, you see a lot of sub components like network and then database application layer monitoring, a lot of decentralized monitoring tools. It's really cumbersome to manage, and most important challenge is about a lot of monitoring tools are on premise,
Mhm.
agent based. It's
Right.
very complex in terms of managing the life cycle of those at a server level or infrastructure level. So that's the reason Infrared Observability is to help us leverage both infrastructure monitoring, also the application performance monitoring, APM. So APM and infrastructure monitoring can be combined with strategic direction of Infrared Observability that will definitely integrate all aspects of not only solving the problems or solving the incidents, but also correlation of the events. How
Right.
do you generate good amount of correlation between the events, and also leverage the existing monitoring ecosystems.
Right. And what are the tools and technology being used for that one? Because manually it's not
So I
possible.
think most of the the monitoring tools and especially if you talk about the DevOps stack tooling,
Mhm,
there are a lot of good tools available in the industry, especially for monitoring. I definitely vote for Zabbix, New Relic,
mhm,
Datadog, and
mhm,
Dynatrace. I think in my last 10 years of DevOps career, I did explore these tools. And I think there are certain areas we definitely consider when we select any vendor platform. I
Right.
think most of these tools have almost similar kind of offerings,
Mhm.
whether it is interoperability between the existing legacy ecosystem.
Right.
How do we ensure the seamless integration? Other areas like streamlining the CI/CD pipeline. There are a lot of tools. While we have the very good code repository on Git or Azure, we will continue to leverage a lot of tooling that will help us to leverage the DevSecOps pipeline effectively.
Right. And what are the key challenges we face when the infrastructure scale? So challenges at infrastructure scale.
Almost 10 years ago, nobody used to choose the infrastructure area, especially within the IT.
Right.
Everybody used to choose software engineering
Development.
opportunities.
Right.
But when it comes to infrastructure, it has evolved and being very dominant, especially in terms of people who are willing to learn the actual IT ecosystem backbone. Because
Mhm.
infrastructure being a backbone, it's not only the traditional storage computer network, it has a lot
Right.
of other technology stacks on top of it.
Mhm.
As I mentioned about DevOps, I talked about software defined networking or network function virtualization. How do you build that SDN and NFI for
Mhm.
the traditional networking? I think that the skill competencies have been evolved. I
Right.
think it's been challenged with the traditional infrastructure engineers, especially the network engineers who were very focused on the traditional routing switching. I think it is
Mhm.
very challenging for them to come out of that traditional compute networking to get adopted into more of a software defined, where they have leverage of integrating that dashboarding capabilities,
Right.
centralized management of the ecosystem. So
Mhm.
I think skill levels definitely have been evolved, and for any leader, it's always to develop a better skill matrix. Like what are the level of entry level skills, intermediate skills, expert level skills, right? I think having that skill matrix, leveraging that effectively will help us to define the competency levels, and also how do we ensure the better skill and talent availability.
Security is getting more complex, right? As the infrastructure and DevOps system is there, security is also getting complex now. So how to deal with that one?
Yeah. So this is very important part of any multi-cloud strategy for any organization. I think having a full-fledged cloud security governance framework will
Mhm.
definitely help us to embed this security in the beginning initial phase of the cloud adoption,
Right.
right? While we concentrate more on migration from the legacy on-premise to cloud, but we fail to consider the security aspect,
Right.
right? Whenever it comes the when you talk about the workload, distributed workload across multiple reasons,
Mhm.
we always concentrate on high availability, but we
Right.
don't consider the security aspect of the high availability. That's where it comes very important to consider in the beginning design phase of cloud maturity model is all about cloud security governance. I think if you
Right.
have a better security governance in place, that will help us to define better security posture. And most important, one example I talk about workload access and management. That's very much important. I think most of the workloads are distributed. A lot of stale workloads available in any cloud environment. I think it's better to streamline that access by creating a lot of security groups, like that will help us to manage the access to all the workloads available in the multiple cloud regions.
So we talk about multiple things, right? There's a DevOps, there's a security, there's infrastructure, there's development part. So now many people are starting the career in this domain. What are the skills they can focus on? Okay, these are the skills they should learn to start the career in
Yeah.
technology.
So definitely the entry level, especially the folks who are aspiring, I think nowadays it's all about having that software engineering mindset. Everywhere you
Right.
go, it's always mandatory for any entry level applicants to have at least one programming language,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So I think it's really very important for every aspiring candidate to know one programming language. I think with that fundamental understanding, they definitely able to crack any kind of opportunities. So especially for folks trying to get into the infrastructure roles, I think nobody is hiring like a traditional network engineers. They
Right.
look for DevOps. I think I have seen a lot of job openings saying that they don't ever call it as a knock engineer. They don't ever
Right.
call it as they fancy jobs like SRE engineers.
Right.
But gone are the days. 10 years we used to do it's traditionally IT operations, but
Right.
now there is a very good shift in terms of competency level. It's also not about the title or position people are hiring. It's
Mhm.
actually the impact that role is going to create to the organization.
Right.
So it's about having that mindset of SRE, especially for operations folks
Mhm.
who are willing to start as an operation analyst. They should learn about SRE, site reliability engineering, how that will help build that DevOps mindset. SRE is a principle, DevOps is a mindset. How we implement SRE through DevOps. So I think understanding all these technologies, jargons, and
Right.
you should definitely have a good amount of practical exposure. Create your own pod. Go with some certification also. I
Mhm.
think um, 10 years before we used to say that, hey, do we have the certification? Okay, you are eligible to appear for interview. So now it's not the case. Like, though we have a lot of certifications, though we have good amount of learning and development programs, people are going through, it's about having a better connect with the community practices, like wherever there are a lot of professional communities, participate in a lot of blog discussions like the one we are doing, the podcast and all those. So people should be encouraged to go through all these expert talks, community practices, where they will get to know the what are the best practices the industries are adopting. So that way they get to know what is emerging and what are the requirement of any job opportunity.
So these are the few technical skills are required. What are the other soft skill also required for anyone to start the career?
Yeah. So I always, suggest folks who come to me, especially a lot of freshers, the graduates, right? So I suggest them as a mentorship approach. They should believe in themselves. First of all, I think a lot of
Right.
young generation. I think I'm talking about 10 years ago. We used to have low confidence,
Mhm.
but now I think most of the Gen Z, the latest technology, right? They have good confident level, but they shouldn't fake themselves.
Mhm.
They should be very confident in what they know
Right.
and what they are able to produce on the table. Like, especially, it's all about effective being an impactful communicator,
Mhm.
right? And again, talking about whether you know it or don't know it, be upfront. Like, say that,
Right.
hey, this is new for me,
Mhm.
right? Develop that soft skill, develop that behavior. It's not like, if somebody go through a good amount of technical trainings or soft skill trainings, they're not going to crack any interview. It's about, it has to come naturally. This is a
Right.
behavioral aspect. It's not like, hey, I attended a communication training for 6 months, so I am very confident to go and face the interview. So he or she may fail. It's all about, you know, get one important thing. As I, developed my soft skill is learning from others.
Right.
Look at the others, look at the people, how they are, developing themselves, by listening to them, by coordinating with them, by looking at their work, right? It's all about learning from the community. And also self learning is very important.
Right.
People nowadays, the freshers, youngsters, right, they always look for spoon feeding,
Mhm.
right? It's not the case nowadays. You should also spend good amount of time. You have good amount of resources available easily. Anything can be accessed easily over internet. I think self learning will definitely plays a major role as part of the development aspect of soft skill, or in terms of making themselves ready for the industry competition.
And many companies are providing certification also in many categories. So what's your take on that one? Is certification really help, or there are other approaches the freshers should
It
take?
has both negative or positive. I don't want to say it as a negative. Obviously, it add a good credential to their profile. Any certification will add a good, will be a good credential to any candidature.
Right.
But we should know, folks don't understand to identify and select the right certificate. So it's all about present and future planning of skill development. So if I look at my current role, I should understand what learning and development are good for my role to implement or do it effectively, or right,
Right.
do my job effectively. So I think people should know that what technical trainings or certifications are relevant to my the actual job I'm doing.
Right.
So choose wisely that what certifications are really important in my current role, and other area is about how do I make myself feature ready for the technological evolutions. So that is the second step of developing your learning and competencies by choosing right technical certificates for your future readiness, right?
Right.
Like say I am today a senior network engineer, so I want to become a network architect. So you aspire for CCIE, which will help you to develop all aspects of a network ecosystem in terms of architecture, implementation, deployment, troubleshooting. So I think it's about understanding the technology trends, and also how each technical certification is helping me to deliver my job effectively.
Right.
It's
Right.
not mandatory, so let
Right.
me make it as a conclusion. So nowadays it's not mandatory that you should have a certification to get into a opportunity, but it's good to have.
Yeah. And
But
someone,
choosing wisely what certification is good, relevant, is very important.
right, someone which is not coming from directly the computer background, because like people like you, me, which is coming from electronics and communication background, then coming into the technology world and then trying to do. So, what's your suggestion to them? How to approach this situation where you're migrating from a non technical or non computing field to the technology?
Yeah. So yeah, I think 80s and 90s kids, right, especially us, right, it's about understanding how the software engineering is evolving,
Right.
and you know how the roles are evolving, how organizations are adopting the latest technologies, right? I think if we have a better clarity about the role, about what function each individual is into, I think that will only help you to evolve or mature your competency level, especially for folks like coming from traditional operations, right? So they don't have background about software languages. I think they definitely look into explore a lot of low code no code platforms. There
Right.
is no development aspect, there is no developer scope is required, like you should have a prior experience as a developer, right? And also a lot of latest DevOps technologies, right? It's a click of button. You need not to write the code. Everything is backend hard coded. You just have to understand the flow. What is the life cycle? What this click of button is going to do. If you
Right.
understand that, I think that will help you to navigate to the more of a software engineering mindset. I think that will create the overall developer mindset. Rather, you need not to worry about, hey, I don't know Java, I don't know C hash, I don't know Python. That's fine. But there are a lot of hard coded, especially Gen AI based front end plugins. I think
Right.
those will help us to, make our life easy,
Right.
especially if somebody is aspiring to get into more of a software engineering mindset. Yeah, I
Right.
think again, um, being part of a lot of community forums, blogs, those will help us to understand how the new technologies. I talked about low code no code, right? I think understanding how that is going to make an impact for overall the developer community, and adopting easy slowly, go step by step. It's not like everybody can do changes overnight, but end of the day, it's taking allowing yourself some time, and understanding what is happening.
Right. And I think with Gen AI and ChatGPT, the learning is more easier now. Okay, because now people can ask any question
I
and
think
learn
with a
anything.
very good amount of resources available online, especially talking about a lot of educational institutions are bringing in good amount of resources, right? I think very easy to learn the new technologies, right? and most important thing, most of the product based organizations and the startup organizations, right? So they adopt a lot of you know gen AI capabilities,
Right.
right? Especially uh, you know talking about operational scopes
Mhm.
nowadays. People are not tasked to do the mundane work,
Right.
right? They are always replaced with a lot of automated
Mhm.
agents.
Right.
Especially most of those scopes are managed as a managed services and managed by the other vendor partners,
Right.
right? As I think that way you will have good amount of you know resources available. And especially as I said about a lot of startup companies and product based companies being a cloud native
Mhm.
companies, right? So they definitely, there is no chance for them to going without a lot of the automation and other capabilities. So they have it as a part of their design, they're part of their strategy,
Mhm.
right? So I think without adoption of automation capabilities, I think the organizations are not going to create any impact to the society.
And these things will be not as simple. They are these all are always going to face some challenges and failure. So how to deal with challenges and failure?
Yeah, so first important thing for any situation, right? When anybody get into a tough situation, it's all about just take a step back, look into the recent past. What happened? What led into this situation, right? And then are there any roadblocks? Because of the roadblock only challenges will come.
Right.
So do I have a right level of planning in place? Whether the planning, did I spend good amount of time or effort in putting a good planning in the initial approach? So I think taking a step back, understand what are the roadblocks, and it's always required to take some assistance from your surrounding, right? So seek advice, seek help from your mentors, seek advice from your team, that how these challenges can be overcome. And it's always takes good amount of time to understand the challenges first, and then comes how do I mitigate the challenges and put across the solutioning approach, right? So it always required to work with experts, understand their advices, and also adopt what is best suited for the challenge to overcome. It's not easy to go with your own approach. You have to seek some expert advice. So I always
Right.
say two minds are better than one mind, right? If I have a challenge, I discuss with my team, and I discuss with my experts and my advisors, right? So how do we solve as a group, right? So I think whenever challenges comes, it always takes good amount of team collaboration, and also allowing some time to self learning, because you also need to have some good amount of learning and other capabilities to cope up the situation.
And you are hiring. What are the skills that you look for? The technical skill and non-technical skills.
See, first I look at the confidence level. I within first few minutes of my discussion with any candidate, I understand whether that candidate is a fake or candidate, not by somebody is proxying, or but whether that candidate really have that confidence level. Most of the candidates apply for wrong jobs. They think
Right.
that I'm a good candidate for this profile, but it's always takes a good amount of observation for any interviewer to look into the confidence level. Is everyone says that, hey, I know this, okay, we should, I always look into the practical, the real time examples, how the problem has been solved
Right.
by applying that technology knowledge or experience, right? I look into that real world scenarios in any candidate, and also look into the relevancy of the experience, right? And then comes is about of course communication, how impactful communicator the candidate is, right? So I think sometimes candidates used to divert their approach when answering questions, that will jeopardize their confidence. I
Right.
think I always look into that behavioral aspect of a candidate, before I conclude my evaluation of the candidature.
Mm. And what are the technical skills also we can check?
Yeah, of course. See, the mandatory evaluation is on the technical skills,
Mm.
but it's not like, hey, do you know Azure DevOps? I don't
Mm.
go by the technical stack. I just ask what is that the candidate has contributed.
Mm.
So it is to listen from them rather
Right.
me asking what technology stacks the
Mm.
candidate got exposure to. So of course, when I entry for any DevOps role for candidates, I look into what are the latest use cases they have worked on,
Mm.
especially the cloud platform. What are the new projects they worked on, and how they adopted the toolings, right? How they leverage the tooling in terms of whether it is code repository and also the testing capabilities and then monitoring infra observability tools. So I look into those all aspects of the end-to-end CI/CD pipeline technology stack,
Mm.
and also look into the traditional, you know the software engineering mindset. Do they have at least some level of automation scripting languages, right?
Mm.
So what kind of scripting they can do help automate the generic tasks, right? They should know at least like Python, Perl, Bash, some sort of programming language. That will also help us to leverage them. So I think I look into the platform engineering mindset,
Mm.
not a traditional infrastructure engineer, but more of a platform engineer.
Right.
So who can help me deliver more value by adopting the DevOps mindset rather the traditional infrastructure approach.
And what is your final advice to all the people who want to start the career in DevOps, infrastructure, platform?
Yeah, I think this is a great place to start. Most of the folks, always think that software engineering field is a good to start. Yeah, that is there, but doesn't mean that infrastructure, DevOps, the other technologies, right? The core technologies. This will help you to get more into product-based exposure. You will
Mm.
learn the product from product definition till the product delivery.
Right.
I think especially for infrastructure, I suggest folks to understand the traditional, from OSI layer
Mm.
till the latest software defined, technologies,
Right.
right? So getting to know the basic fundamentals is very important, whether it is infrastructure or the software engineering role, and then knowing what is trending,
Right.
right? So especially in the DevOps field, it's not about only the deployment pipeline. It's about
Mm.
how do we ensure the DevSecOps, how do we ensure the security aspects. I
Right.
think if the candidate, especially talking about the experienced professional, if they know about the entire end-to-end life cycle of the SDLC by leveraging the DevSecOps, I think that is very good for them to pursue a good career in DevOps. And infrastructure traditional, I think infrastructure will definitely there, especially being a backbone. I said I always tell that this is very much important for an enterprise to run
Mm.
the IT
Right.
very core part. On top of that, we build data, we build application, we
Mm.
integrate middleware.
Right.
But talking about infrastructure, it always there plays a major role in terms of creating a good IT ecosystem, meaningful IT ecosystem.
Right.
So I think learning the traditional infrastructure is very important. Like how do we build the servers, whether it is
Right.
Linux, Unix,
Mm.
understanding the databases, how the databases are having the structured, unstructured, open source, and then comes compute storage. I think this technology will help us to develop more of a DevOps mindset on top of the traditional storage compute experience.
Thank you so much, Anil, for your time. And I think you took out some time to share your learning experience, and your advice will definitely will help many of the aspiring people who want to start career in all this domain. Thank you so much.
Great, yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure to share my experience. Again, I'm not a great expert, but yeah, whatever I experienced in
Mm.
my overall career of 18 years. So I wanted to put across some of the highlights. Thanks, Dushant, for facilitating this forum for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.